Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and SKELEDIRGE just won a Pokemon Go Regional Championship. This weekend, the San Antonio Pokemon Go Regional Championships was held, and for the first time ever, not only did a SKELEDIRGE qualify for Top Cut in Day 2, but SKELEDIRGE won the entire championship. The trainer who used it, his name is DuneBug97. He lost his first matchup of Day 1 and proceeded to go on a 14 series win streak to take home the crown. So today, I'm going to be looking through some of his matchups where he did bring SKELEDIRGE. His first battle of the day was against Rise to the Occasion, fellow content creator, and we see Dune pick up an amazing lead, leading Whiscash into Shadow Alolan Sandslash. The save switch by Rise into the Shadow Gligar, and we're going to see Dune immediately respond with Cresselia. Now, Dune is running a team that is extremely strong to that Alolan Sandslash. He, of course, led the Whiscash, and he has the SKELEDIRGE in the back, so even if Dune doesn't necessarily get switch advantage here, Dune is still in a pretty nice position. Dune is going to farm up and fire off the Grass Knot. We do see the shield from Rise, as Rise is looking to make a play for switch advantage. Dune continuing to farm. Dune has a decision to make here. Does he decide to shield? No. He lets the dig through. He gives up switch advantage, and now he's going to send in the Whiscash. Whiscash is going to be able to withstand this damage. He's saving 2 shields in the back for SKELEDIRGE. He goes for the Scald. Beautiful catch by Rise, catching the Scald onto the Shadow Poliwrath. But bad news for Rise, as not only does he get debuffed, but he's going to have to deal with SKELEDIRGE. Rise does not build up to the Scald here. This is only the Icy Wind. Dune, counting carefully, is going to let that move through. Dune continuing to farm, now going for the knockout with this Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice picks up the KO. In comes the Gligar. Gligar going to fire off the Aerial Ace, but Dune has saved 2 shields for this exact moment. He wants to sweep with the SKELEDIRGE. SKELEDIRGE is debuffed, but this Disarming Voice will easily KO here. Rise is going to let it through. In comes the Sandslash. Sandslash getting absolutely melted. Oh my goodness, these are debuffed Incinerates, and they're doing so much damage. In comes the Whiscash. Whiscash gets the Mud Bomb before Rise is able to double up, and Dunebug is able to take game number 1 in this best of 3 series. Moving into game number 2, we see a great lead for Dunebug. Again, the safe switch by Rise into the Shadow Gligar, and again, Dune is going to respond with the Cresselia. Like last game, Dune was ABA strong to Rise's lead, so even if Dune doesn't win switch advantage here, unfortunately for Rise, that Charjabug doesn't really have anywhere to go. We see Dune actually commit an early shield here, so Dune is looking to make a play for switch advantage. We're going to see the dig fired off by Rise. Dune continuing to farm, going for the Grass Knot. Grass Knot, I don't think is quite going to be enough to KO here. Grass Knot, we see the Gligar able to survive, and with 1 HP remaining, it's going to be able to make it to this Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace gets the Cresselia low. We see the Charjabug, and it's immediately going to be answered by the Whiscash. Rise this time running a stronger team against SKELEDIRGE, as he has the Azumarill in the back. But Dune immediately pivoting back into the Whiscash, looking to try and bait out that final Pokemon from Rise. Rise continuing to farm, going for another X-Scissor, but again, this has been debuffed by the Scald, so Dune should be in a pretty good position here. Dune can look to overfarm, and now go for the knockout with the Scald. We see the no shield from Rise trying to call the Mud Bomb. That does get the KO. In comes the Azumarill, and this Azumarill is running Ice Beam and Play Rough. And if it's an Ice Beam and Play Rough Azumarill, then SKELEDIRGE does actually win the Zero Shield, because all the energy from the Azumarill is going to be resisted. Dunebug going for a debuff here with the Scald. Scald does not get the debuff. Rise, not wanting to take any more damage from the SKELEDIRGE, will fire off the Ice Beam. Ice Beam picks up the knockout, and in comes SKELEDIRGE. SKELEDIRGE farming up energy here. SKELEDIRGE trying to go for the Shadow Ball. Azumarill is going to fire off its move first, going for the Play Rough. Play Rough, not a problem for the SKELEDIRGE. Cress has a move. Dunebug going for the Shadow Ball. Rise tries to call the bait, and Dunebug takes the 2-0 victory. We now move to a later round of the tournament, Dunebug versus Evan 777713. And we see Dunebug picking up a very nice lead, Whiscash into that Shadow Alolan Sandslash. We're going to see a safe switch into the Poliwrath, but unfortunately for Dunebug, Dune did not bring the Cresselia or the Gligar, so he doesn't have an amazing response to this Poliwrath safe switch. He's going to fire off the Mud Bomb to get some chip damage and send in the SKELEDIRGE. SKELEDIRGE does get debuffed by the Scald, and we're going to see SKELEDIRGE fire off the Disarming Voice. It is 3 Incinerates to that first Disarming Voice, but after that, it is going to be 2 going forward. So SKELEDIRGE already at the Disarming Voice here. The Scald is going to get another debuff. Dunebug firing off the Disarming Voice. Evan very low on HP, gonna try and make it to the Scald here. Evan is going to fall one turn short of making it to the Scald, and Disarming Voice will pick up the knockout and keep switch advantage for Dune. In comes Whiscash. We're actually going to see Dune preserve that Skeledirge for later and send in his own Whiscash. So Dunebug not necessarily playing for switch advantage here, feeling very comfortable pivoting out into the Whiscash in multiple matchups. Whiscash is going to land the Scald. Scald does get the debuff. Continuing to farm. This Scald is going to get the knockout, and Dune in a bit of an interesting situation here. Does he send in the Registeel? Honestly, feels like he kind of has to send in the Registeel here. He does send in the Registeel. In the back, it's the Shadow, Alolan Sandslash, and it's running Powder Snow. Powder Snow does help in certain matchups, especially going up against the Gligar and the Altaria, but bad news for the Sandslash, as Sandslash will get absolutely shredded by Incinerates. Skeledirge going to get the knockout with the Disarming Voice. Back in comes the Whiscash. Whiscash forced to throw a move as Skeledirge will not get farmed down. Mud Bomb picks up the knockout, but Registeel very close to a move, able to make it to the Focus Blast. Focus Blast knocks out the Whiscash, and Dunebug takes game 1. And now we move to the Grand Finals versus Arrow, and Arrow has not lost a single best of 3 this entire tournament. So Dunebug is going to need to win 2 best of 5s in order to be crowned the regional champion for San Antonio. I'm going to be showing the games where Dune did end up bringing Skeledirge, and a bit of spoilers, but every game he brought Skeledirge that was streamed, he ended up getting the win. It was absolutely amazing. As you can see here, game number 1, leading Skeledirge into the Charjabug. We see the safe switch into the Poliwrath, but Skeledirge able to outpace and make it to the Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice is going to be shielded up by the Poliwrath. Poliwrath now going for the Icy Wind bait. Dunebug is going to be committing a shield, and now Dunebug is going to look to continue to overfarm. Going for the Disarming Voice. Do we see the shield from Arrow? Yes, Arrow is going to double shield. Arrow already baited once, not going to risk it twice. Arrow now going for the Scald. Dunebug is going to expend the final shield, gets debuffed again. Unfortunately, the second debuff does mean that Skeledirge is now not going to be able to get the knockout with the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to get him very low. We do see the switch into the Whiscash to absorb this damage from Scald. So being able to preserve the Skeledirge for later, and Whiscash is going to get a full Mudshot farm down, even though it did get debuffed. Arrow is going to send in the Charjabug, understanding it doesn't have a lot of value against the team of 3 that Dune has brought. The Scald does not get the debuff. Arrow is going to go for the X-Scissor. X-Scissor is going to be able to pick up the knockout. Dune is going to be able to send back in the Skeledirge, but we see Arrow looking to queue up a switch into Lickitung. Dune sends in the Skeledirge. Dune going to throw 2 Incinerates, bank a move, and send in the Registeel. So not only does he have a move to be able to knock out that Charjabug later on, but the 2 Incinerates of damage should put this Lickitung into a range where Dune can potentially go for a Focus Blast and a lock-on farm down. So at this point, the game is looking incredibly good for Dune here. I mean, Lickitung can spam out as many body slams as it possibly can, but this is one reason why I love Registeel. It just shuts down Lickitung to an incredible degree. He is, again, going to go for this lock-on down. Arrow trying to make it to multiple body slams. He's going for body slam number 1. Switch timer does come up for Arrow, and he's going to send in the Charjabug, but Charjabug is now going to have to deal with a loaded Zap Cannon. In comes the Skeledirge. We see the combo play from Dunebug. He's going to get the KO with the Disarming Voice. In comes the Lickitung. Lickitung gets knocked out with an Incinerate, and that's game over. Dune ends up taking the first best of 5 narrowly 3-2, so now we move into the second best of 5, and we see a terrible lead for the Skeledirge leading into Shadow Gligar. Arrow goes for the Aerial Ace bait, but the sensational bait call by Dunebug. No shield in the Aerial Ace. We see Arrow shaking his head. He cannot believe that that was no shielded. And now that Dune successfully called a bait, he's in a very, very good position where he can force either switch advantage or shield advantage in this lead matchup. Skeledirge going to grab both shields from the opponent, and now we see the safe switch into the Whiscash by Dunebug. Dunebug potentially hoping that if there's a Poliwrath in the back, which Arrow has, that it gets baited out, and it does, able to bait out the Poliwrath, and this frees up the Registeel to potentially put in quite a bit of work. We're going to see Whiscash continuing to farm, making it to another Mud Bomb. Arrow already used both shields on the Gligar, so he just has to tank the damage. Whiscash continuing to farm. Whiscash could make it to the Mud Bomb, so we see Arrow with perfect counting, playing to the charge attack priority tie. Icy Wind is going to get the knockout. Dune can now send in the Skeledirge. Skeledirge going to be hit with the Icy Wind. we are going to see the shield by Dunebug, protecting the Skeledirge. Skeledirge farming up, banks the Disarming Voice, sends in the Registeel, looking for the lock-on down. In comes the Gligar, but with the energy advantage, Dunebug makes it to the Focus Blast. Focus Blast is going to knock out the Gligar. In comes the Poliwrath, but the Poliwrath on 1 HP makes it to the Scald. Scald connects onto the Registeel, but does not get the debuff. In the back, it's the Carbink. This is normally an amazing matchup for Registeel, but Registeel has taken a ton of damage. Zap Cannon connects, and bad luck for Dune. It does not get the attack drop. This Moonblast is resisted. Is it going to be enough to KO here? Dune able to tank the Moonblast. Registeel makes the Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon not going to be enough to KO, but if you remember, he saved a move on the Skeledirge. We see the combo play. It's the Disarming Voice. Is this going to be enough to KO? Disarming Voice does not KO, but one lock-on from the Registeel takes the win. Oh my goodness, what a game. We now move into game number 4 of the series. If Arrow wins the next game, he's regional champion. Dunebug needs to win 2 in a row. And Arrow gets the dream lead, leading Carbink into the Altaria. Dune safe switching the Whiscash as he's done so many times throughout this tournament, and that's going to be answered by the Poliwrath. We're going to be seeing here Dune continuing to spam out these Mud Bombs to the Poliwrath. Poliwrath is going to go for the Icy Wind on charge attack priority, but Icy Wind is not going to be enough to knock out here. Dune knows it's not a Scald, so he is going to no shield there, and we are going to see the shield now used by Arrow. Arrow really liked that alignment, and he's looking to preserve it, but Whiscash able to make the Mud Bomb, and now able to grab the final shield from Arrow. So the Whiscash save switch paying massive dividends, and now he's going to send in the Altaria. Considering there's a Carbink in play, you can never shield this as the Altaria, and now we see a pivot into Lickitung. So Arrow actually giving up switch. We see the catch by Dunebug. Oh my goodness. Able to get some Dragon Breath damage onto that Lickitung and making a beautiful catch onto the Registeel. So alignment looked awful for Dune, but Dune now does have switch advantage, but this is still going to be tough as he doesn't have a fantastic way of getting rid of that Carbink. Focus Blast will connect onto the Lickitung. This does set up a potential farm down for the Registeel. Registeel is going to need to put in a lot of work, and as we've seen, Carbink can tank 2 moves. We're going to see Arrow get farmed all the way down. Registeel still has a shield. In comes the Carbink. Carbink going to be immediately met with the Zap Cannon. Do we see the debuff? We see a queued switch, and it's a simultaneous switch. Altaria into the Carbink. There was a bit of a visual error there because Arrow queued the switch, but the Zap Cannon did land. We see the attack drop, and that is going to give extra farm to the Carbink. Now the question is, can Carbink make it to 2 moves here? No, it cannot. So Dunebug is going to be able to take game 4 with a Zap Cannon, and it all comes down to this: win or go home. Arrow leads the Carbink again, but we see an amazing lead for Dunebug as he leads Whiscash into the Carbink. And we see the save switch Poliwrath going to be answered with the Gligar. In the back, we see Dunebug again bringing that Registeel. So unfortunately for Arrow, even if you win switch, the Carbink has absolutely nowhere to go. We do see the no shield by Arrow, understanding that since Gligar is debuffed, Poliwrath will be able to tank that damage and go for another Icy Wind. Dunebug, double shielding, may potentially look for a wing attack farm down and then a pivot back into the Whiscash. He has loved being able to pivot into Whiscash in this tournament, as grass types have been few and far between, and we see Charjabug being brought into the Whiscash, and Dunebug realizing that he should be in a winning position in this tournament. We're now going to see Arrow firing off multiple X-Scissors here. X-Scissor into that Whiscash, not going to do a lot of damage. X-Scissor number 2, not going to be able to pick up the knockout. Dune can now look to overfarm. He's going for the Scald. 1 shield left for Arrow. Arrow, shake of the head, is going to let it go. Scald picks up the knockout. In comes the Carbink, going for the Scald. We see the no shield by Arrow. Arrow just has to hope it's something that Carbink can destroy in the back, but it's not. It's the Registeel. We see the claps from Arrow, understanding that it's over. Arrow bringing the Carbink, hoping that Dune would bring back the Skeledirge in game number 5, but he does not. Dune bringing that Registeel, getting the farm down, and Dunebug 97 not only is the first trainer ever to qualify for a Day 2 with Skeledirge, but now the first trainer to win a Pokemon Go regional championship with Skeledirge. From the start of this season, once Incinerate got buffed, I've been talking of how much I love Skeledirge. I think it's absolutely amazing. The offensive triangle of Fire, Fairy, and Ghost is only resisted by one typing combination currently in Go, and that is the Fire Normal typing on Litleo and Pyroar. So it's very, very difficult to wall energy from Skeledirge, and that's what makes it so much better than something like Talonflame, where Talonflame only with Fire and Flying, there's a lot of stuff that if you run into it, your energy is completely useless. So massive congratulations to Dunebug. I'm so happy to see one of my favorite Pokemon, Skeledirge, get to win a Pokemon Go Regional Championship. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.